Well, good afternoon, Cordova. It is the afternoon of Friday, May 15th. It feels like 3 months ago since we talked last Friday. A lot has happened in the last 10 weeks, which is the length of this operation, the incident management team's response. But most of that has happened in the last 6 weeks. And we've had a lot of feedback from the public kind of asking, why weren't we doing more on the front end? And now we're kind of hearing a lot of questions about why are we having and keeping some of these restrictions in place on the business community. And I wanted to make a little more transparent to the community what's actually happened in those 6 weeks. Because what we were seeing at that time was that just about every single government, including ours, was responding to the coronavirus pandemic with too little, too late. And so our governor and our community took very quick action to put some very good travel protections and distancing protections in place, which fortunately we had learned from others was very effective. We put restrictions in place on businesses and so forth. We were under a lot of pressure as an incident management team, as city government and city council to do that. And in fact, we were under a lot of pressure to do a lot more than we did. We also were expecting that there could be large outbreaks on the mainland and overwhelm the hospitals that frankly are a lot better situated to care for people with coronavirus. That would have forced cases to stay in Cordova, which would have further exacerbated the spread and likely resulted in some fatalities and more infection. So the team and leadership of the community and our state, frankly, took fairly quick and aggressive action. And I think in retrospect, all we can say that it was extremely effective. I think to date, we are the lowest, if not one of the lowest, if not the lowest infections of any state. And we are in a very enviable position of being able to start opening our businesses and travel and get a quote unquote return to normal much quicker than anybody had anticipated. We were talking about August just a week or two ago. So in the interim, several things have happened. We didn't have outbreaks on the mainland. The hospitals over there did have a small but steady caseload, so they did get familiar with treating the virus. They were able to test their training and facilities and so forth. But we know now that at least for the next few weeks, or unless something changes, that there's plenty of capacity on the mainland to handle the normal routine medical practices of the outlying communities like ours, which is when you have a case you can't handle, you medevac them. And we have lots of medevac capacity, and it's really the norm for our medical services in the state. So there's really nothing unusual with the situation we're in now. So that's a big change. Also, we just this week had the director of our state medical director for the state of Alaska, our chief medical officer, and also the chief medical officers for Homeland Security. And they have assured us in very specific detail what and how they can be available to help us if we get an unexpected surge at this time. We also have tremendous capacity for testing. We've been deploying that. Another 15 to 20 people, including myself, were tested today. I was visiting our facilities and so forth with people from out of state and out of town as part of this medical team that came on Wednesday. So we have lots of tests available. We've administered lots of tests. And the one kind of scare that we had with the active case at Ocean Beauty worked exactly how it was supposed to. An asymptomatic, all but undetectable case that could have caused spread was caught by the very protocols and planning that we put in place. So we're in a good place now. We're where we plan to be, although we had a lot of frustration and angst getting here. And we're very well positioned to be doing exactly what we're doing, which is trying to support our businesses and put them in a position where they can get back to work and do it safely, and then do what we can to support them. We recognize the challenge this has been. So in that vein, we have a special guest today, a good friend and colleague and business supporter for the business I manage, Cordova Electric, and that's Kathy Renfelt, the executive director of the Cordova Chamber of Commerce. Hello, Kathy.
Hi, how are you?
Great, and I'm going to give you the floor.
Great, awesome. Well, I'm really happy to be here today, and I just want to start off by saying kudos to everyone involved in putting the plans in place that brought us to where we are, especially concerning the commercial fishing industry. We are all celebrating in our own ways the start of the commercial fishing season. I hope you all have a little bit of king salmon in your fridge like I do, and this is all possible because of the people that work so hard to put those good, strong plans in place from the statewide level to the industry level to the community level. And, that the fact that this industry is operating is very valuable, and it enables our entire community to prosper. So kudos there. And I'm going to be talking today about something exciting that the Chamber is working on, and we're hoping will help the businesses in the community and the whole community. It's called the Come Back Better campaign. And the idea behind that is we put together a toolkit that helps businesses not just come back, but maybe even come back better. It talks about rethinking your business, rebuilding your customer base, reopening safely, and eventually making sure that not only your business, but the whole community can recover. So I'm going to be kind of walking through some of that stuff today, and then I'll end by talking about some of the resources that the Chamber has available, not just to business owners, but to the entire community. So about this campaign, this is available to all businesses. It's not just the Chamber members, and it's free. And the reason that we're doing that is because there is so many benefits to our community having a vibrant and successful small business and large business sector. It is integral to the community continuing in the way that we all know and love. And there are ways where we can put some thought and energy behind our businesses here and find ways to support them in this new normal. So I'm working with businesses. I want to encourage any business that's out there that's feeling discouraged or daunted to contact us at the Chamber. We'll be happy to walk through it, even if it's just talking through some ideas with you. This first part of the campaign, Rethink, is all about kind of talking through some ideas, kind of brainstorming, getting creative. We really want to try to help businesses find resilience through innovation. So this is not business as usual. It's a new normal, and with the COVID-19 coming through, it did throw a wrench in the plans for a lot of businesses, and it did cause some businesses to have to shut down for a while or have to change their operations or put new things into place, and it's costing a lot of businesses customers and revenues, and but there is help. So one thing that we're helping businesses do is just ask a few questions to try to rethink your business. So in this new normal, this is a question you should always be asking, but in this new normal, you should ask again in a new way, what do my customers need? And then once you've established what they need, then you can kind of talk about how can I accommodate those needs safely. So if you're, a bike shop, your customers need to get their bike fixed. And how can I accommodate that need safely? So, bikes are made of metal. Metal conducts virus. So you need to think about what do I need to do to make sure that they can drop off that bike, I can touch that bike, I can work on that bike, I can return it to them, and all of that is done in a way that's going to be safe as far as virus transmission and social distance. So then you're also going to want to look at, are there new ways that you can be communicating with your customers? There's some businesses out there that are getting really creative, including some in Cordova, who are putting in new services they haven't had before, where you can call in your order and pick it up curbside, or get it delivered, or order online, or order with an app. And so these are things that you can put in place now that is going to help you get through this COVID crisis. But in the future, it's just going to be a really helpful and interesting and innovative tool that you have now installed that can help your business moving forward into eternity. Then there's also questions about what kind of engineering controls should be put in place to make sure that we operate safely. And when I talk about engineering controls, I'm talking about things that will help you achieve social distance and safety and decrease virus transmission and help your employees and your customers stay safe. So examples would be if you are a business that thinks that maybe it should install a sneeze guard, which is like that plastic sheet or piece of plastic that comes down in front of counters. If that would be an engineering control. Or maybe you need to, even something as simple as putting tape down on the floor to mark out 6 feet distance. That falls under that category too. Rearranging your floor plans, maybe making some of your areas one direction, maybe having one entrance be for entering and another be for exiting, just to keep the flow of traffic controlled, so that people don't have to cross paths as they're entering and exiting. And so when you do that, you're going to have to change your signage. You're going to have to put out an educational campaign in some cases. And so these are things that are great to think about right now, so that when you're ready to reopen, you can put those things in place. And we're happy to help you think about that and look at that. We've got information on what other businesses are doing in Cordova and elsewhere. It can help kind of inspire you and maybe open up possibilities for you that you may not have thought were there. Reopening can be a pretty daunting thought and process, so we want to make it easier for businesses to do that, and we don't want any business to feel like this is the end for them, to feel like they can't reopen. We think every business should be able to reopen and come back better from this.
That's great, Kathy, and it's great to have your enthusiasm back at the chamber. Like many of the city employees, you kind of dropped what you were doing and jumped in to help with the pandemic, which was a great community service, but it also put you in a position to understand the virus and a lot of these rules and protections. And as those plans got put into place and you jumped back into your true passion, which is the business community and supporting the business community, you took a lot of that knowledge and background with you. So is the chamber going to be a resource for some of these changing mandates and reopening as we go forward?
Absolutely. I think, there's all sorts of people pitching in to help this whole community respond to and recover from this crisis. You have the folks that are actively filling roles in the IMT, all the way down to the people, and then you have the partner organizations like the Chamber and, the Family Resource Center, Sound Alternatives, and places like that are, having their kind of special areas of expertise that they can, that they can kind of head up those areas and be the person on the front lines knowing what's the latest and greatest and breaking and minutia of all of those areas. And then you have the folks that are, volunteering and doing the nitty-gritty stuff. So I think that we're all kind of playing our parts. And, you, for example, have to fill your brain with so much information about every single part of this response that maybe you don't have time to understand the, tiny little details about what personal service care providers need to do in order to reopen. Well, I can focus on that, and I can put my energy towards that, and I can be the local expert on that for the IMT, and that's what I'm happy to do.
Fantastic. And then...
So the next part is about rebuilding, which is kind of a big part of this, because once you've kind of put the thought energy into it and kind of decided what you can do, then now you got to think about how to get back to a place where you're operating again. And again, that can be kind of daunting, but I think the most important thing for a business to be thinking about during the rebuilding part is thinking about your customers and communicating with your customers. So whenever you have a local business that's been providing a product or service to a local customer, and then that is cut off, for whatever reason, or it's a pandemic or some other cause, then that patron, that customer, either is going without that need getting fulfilled, or they're finding other ways to fulfill that need. So what we're trying to do is trying to help remind and educate consumers and customers and local citizens about the value of the local businesses that are here to fill those needs. And then the businesses should be thinking about what sets them apart and creates that value for the customer, and then reaching out, reestablishing those relationships, and really communicating that value. And so as these businesses are reaching out and informing their customers that they're coming back in new ways, we're going to be right alongside them, signal boosting them, getting their message out a little farther, and then right next to them, kind of launching some bigger Shop Cordova First and Shop Local campaigns to help remind and complement those efforts.
Fantastic.
And then we get to talk about reopening. So once you have kind of figured out how you're going to be rethinking your business, what things you can do, what your customer needs, and how you can communicate with your customer, then you can think about reopening. And in Cordova, we're in phase 1A right now of the state reopening guidelines. That can be kind of a daunting thought, like I mentioned, to reopen. There's so many rules. You have to retrain your staff, and in some cases, you have to retrain your customers. The supplies you have to get. So we put together a tool that we think can be really helpful. It's 6 steps to reopening that a business can work through. So the first step is to know the rules. And so we have put together just a really condensed version of the city emergency order and then the state mandate 16 with the phase 1A rule for each business into one document on our website that you can click on and view the specifics of. And then we've also gotten access from the commissioner of DHSS. He put together some nice, easy visual slides from a slideshow presentation of what each of those business sectors looks like for reopening and what kind of the basic overlying protocols are going to be. Like, for example, restaurants have to have a certain spacing between tables, certain aspects with face coverings, certain sanitation guidelines, and kind of laying that out in a more visual, brief way, and then backing up that information with the specifics of that state mandate. And then we've taken that state mandate and we've turned that into a reopen plan. And we have created these specific to each business type based on these state protocols. So we have these reopen plans, one for non-essential retail businesses, one for restaurants, one for daycare providers, one for charters. And when you click on that and open it, you'll see that lays out basically everything that you're going to need to do with the state. And you can use that as your template to reopen and edit it as you'd like to make it really fit your business the right way. And then once you combine that with the reading through the mandate yourself and seeing what you need to train your employees on and what kind of behind the scenes stuff you need to do, then you have a full plan. And so that full plan is required that you need to create and post, in most cases, in your entryway, according to the state. And the city of Cordova has said that whatever you submit to the state, you should submit to the city. And I think it's a good idea to send that to the city as well, so they have that on file. And once you have kind of created and you've submitted that plan, then you should supply and implement that plan. So, minimally, you're going to need some more cleaning supplies. You're probably going to need to train your staff. There's probably going to be some stricter hygiene and sanitation protocols that you need to put in place. So one suggestion we've been giving to businesses is to create a little schedule or a timed checklist that your employees need to initial every hour or 4 hours or whatever is recommended or protocols for your business type. And then you have that on record to show that you're in compliance, and it's a way to remind your employees and hold them accountable that this is what needs to be done. And it's keeping everyone safe, it's keeping you in compliance, and it's proving that you're doing what you need to do so you don't get in trouble. And then once you have that supplied and implemented, then you can market the plan. And I think this is a really big part that maybe some people wouldn't think about. You're putting all this time and energy into making this plan to keep your employees safe, your customers safe, the community safe. But what good is that if you don't get the word out about it? What good is that if you don't tell anybody about it? Your customers want to know what you're doing. Even as some people in Cordova are anxious for you to reopen your business, to take care of your services, just as many, if not more, people are still cautious and concerned about going out and getting back into these routines and businesses. And so businesses are going to be the most successful when they cater to the more safety-oriented plans that cater to the more cautious people. You're going to be able to serve them those people, and you're going to be proving that you're doing everything that you can to keep things safe. So there's also, with these plans, oftentimes there's information that your customers need to know before they give you their business. If you're a hairdresser and you need people to know that you are not accepting walk-ins, you're only taking reservations only, then that word needs to get out before people start walking into your establishment. If you're a place that is going to require a face covering, then they need to know that before they come in. And in Cordova, that's pretty much every business. And that's a good thing to remind people of. If you're going to be needing to do any kind of a health screening with your people, your customers before they come in, which is required of some of these businesses, then that's something that your customers need to know as well before they come in. So it's really important to communicate your plan through every medium possible. And we are so happy to help get that message out for you, because you have your reach, we have our reach. We should put that together and reach as many people as possible. We recommend that businesses put that on their website. They're supposed to be posting it in their entryway usually, or having a hard copy on site somewhere. Put it on their social media. If they have an email list, they can send it out to that. And then we'll be offering a place on our website where we can kind of hold those plans for people and get the word out on that. And then lastly in this process, we encourage businesses to respect the process. The process of reopening the community, as you talked about, is constantly changing. And our leaders are adjusting to those changes, and they're evaluating the current environment, and they're going to make decisions nimbly based on what's happening. And as you mentioned, the decisions that you guys make when you're talking about reopening, or what phase we're in, or if we're in yellow light, or where we are, has so many factors. It has to do with, how many beds are available in Cordova, how many beds are available in Anchorage, how many tests we have available, what supplies we have on the way, what's happening, nationwide, what's happening with air travel. There's so much more than just, positive test numbers that factor in there. And so the businesses that are the most nimble and the most cooperative and the fastest to adhere to new rules and guidelines, and the best at communicating with their customers about that, are going to be the most successful.
Well, great. You make a great point, Kathy, that the experience hasn't changed just for the businesses, but also for the customers. And they're looking at shopping and business through a different lens, and something important for businesses to recognize, and that the Chamber can help with as a resource.
Yeah. And another thing we can do to try to help get that word out is we're doing something called ribbon tying, which you may have heard of a ribbon cutting, which is what chambers of commerce usually do when businesses have a grand opening or open a new location. We come and put a ribbon across it, and then we have a giant pair of comically large scissors that we use to cut that ribbon. Well, a lot of these businesses, they've been open, they closed, and now they're reopening. So we're calling it a ribbon tying to give you two pieces of ribbon. You tie it together, and then take a video of that, and we'll put that together with another video of you cutting it, and it's kind of like a rebirth. And we will couple that with some information about your safety and mitigation measures that you're putting in place, and those that you expect of your customers and that you need your customers to know. So it's kind of a fun way for your business to get out there and get that information out in a real visual way to a larger audience. And that's a free service that we're doing. We just made one for the Chamber as we reopened our office to appointment traffic. And we posted that video on our Facebook and on our YouTube channel and on our website. So if people want to see what a ribbon tying video looks like, you can take a peek at that.
Okay, great.
And then the last part of all this is recovery. So this is kind of a larger scale, longer term, kind of future looking aspect of this whole thing. And this is not something that the Chamber can do alone. We are working with local and regional partners to try to put together a comprehensive recovery plan. And one thing that you and I have talked about, Clay, and I think it's important to mention, is that there are opportunities in challenges like this to to actually look at opportunities for growth. There's funding opportunities that become available in disasters. There's resources that may not have been there before. There's partnerships that may not have been as strong ever as they are right now that can lead us to actually maybe come back better as a community from this. And so we're working to try to put that together, and we're looking for partners to help us in that. So far, the Chamber is working with the Prince William Sound Economic Development District, and hoping that the City of Cordova and the Native Village of EAC will join us in that effort, and hopefully some other regional partners.
Fantastic. So we talked a little bit about resources the Chamber would have available, but as we move forward, are there going to continue to be coronavirus guidance and support for the business community from the Chamber?
Absolutely, and not just to the business community, but to the entire community. Some of our resources are certainly business focused, but some of them are available to everyone, like the COVID biz list, is what we're calling the comprehensive list that we created that contains all of the businesses in Cordova, what their status is, whether they're open or closed or appointment only, any special accommodations that they're making or requests that they're making of their customers in regards to coronavirus. And we created that list and then created and that list is large, and it's in a Google sheet document. It's like in a spreadsheet, so it's not exactly printer friendly. So it's best accessed digitally, but we did create like a quick reference guide that had the businesses that are most likely to be needed by people just coming into town, and printed that off, and that's what's going out with the airport ambassadors and the harbor ambassadors through the IMT. So, and that list is constantly being updated, and as a business, if you make any changes, it's really important that you make sure the Chamber knows so that we can update that information there. And as a community member, we really encourage folks to use that as a resource to figure out what different businesses are doing and to try to give your business to a local Cordova business first before you make that online order. And the way to access that list is bit.ly, so that's bit.ly/COVID bizlist. You can also get to it from the Cordova Chamber website at cordovachamber.com/COVID-19. And you can get to it from the city's new COVID website, which is covid19.cityofcordova.net, which you're very aware of, right? In addition to that, we have some resources that we've had, for quite some time that we're still, using and putting to even better use now, and some new ones. We have had an online event calendar for the community on our website for over a year now, and it's been a really fun, kind of nice way for locals and folks from out of town to see what's happening in Cordova, stay in the loop, and to get the word out on whatever events they're putting on. Up until now, it's been mostly in-person events that have been shown on that calendar, but we are actually keeping that up to date as best we can with postponements of events, cancellations, and with virtual events. So anybody out there hosting a virtual event, whether it's a lip sync battle or concert in your living room or a fundraising event for your organization, if it's virtual or online, no matter what, send us that information, and we'll put it on our online events calendar. And for all the citizens looking for things to do, ways to be involved, ways to stay connected with the community, check that out. It's right on our Chamber website, cordovachamber.com. And if you're on our email list, it's connected with a big button on every email we send out. And then in addition to that, we are also doing more virtual events ourselves at the Chamber. We, at the beginning of this whole pandemic situation, we started doing some virtual business spotlights. Those are really popular, and we hope to continue that as well, where we can bring folks into a business virtually, and they can see what's on the shelves, and they can get an idea of what they can buy from these local businesses and what kind of cool stuff is available out there with these local businesses. And that would be another opportunity for businesses to communicate any new safety measures or practices that they want to get the word out about. We also just finished our virtual Shorebird Festival, which I think was pretty successful for being the first time that we ever tried to do anything like that. A lot of participation online. All of those links and tools and features are actually still available on the coppershorebird.com website or the Copper River Delta Shorebird Festival Facebook page. And if you haven't checked that out yet, I'd really encourage you to do so. And we're hoping to do some more virtual events this summer, like doing a business empowerment series event for training and advancement in the business community. There's lots of other ways that even if you're not ready to reopen, that you can be bettering your business from home. We've got all those resources on our website at cordovachamber.com/COVID-19 as well. There's a plethora of webinars from our partners at the Alaska Small Business Development Center that they're offering free through the end of June. So let's say that you really aren't happy with your logo and you want to figure out if there's a way that you can fix that. There's probably a webinar for that. If you are just struggling with QuickBooks and your accounting, definitely there's a webinar for that. So check that out and see if there's a way that even if you're not ready to reopen, that you can still be investing your time in a positive way that's going to have a substantial long-term benefit for your business. And then finally, we have business relief resources on there. So you may have heard about the Small Business Administration grants and relief programs that were out there to help businesses, like the Paycheck Protection Program and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. Those are still out there. The Paycheck Protection Program has about 1/3 of its funding left, and they are still accepting applications. The Economic Injury Disaster Loans that have already applied are still getting funded, and they're only currently open still to agricultural businesses and some of the people who applied at the very first round before the new application came out. But there are some more on the horizon too, which we'll be excited to include in that list when they become available, specifically through the state of Alaska and the CARES funding distribution that's coming through the state, and through and for the some fishing-related businesses through the United Fishermen of Alaska. So those are all listed on that website too, and we're happy to try to work with businesses to get them connected with that as well. And all of this information, there's two different parts of our website, and if you just go to our main page, cordovachamber.com, and you scroll to the bottom, you'll see both of them. One says Come Back Better, and the other one says COVID-19 Business Resources. And they're going to be there in perpetuity for you to reference. So as I'm talking and talking and talking, and maybe this is a lot to take in right now, you can go and reference that and read through it at your own pace, and then just call us, and we'll talk it through with you, and we'll see what else we can do to help.
Well, great, Kathy. Really appreciate you wrapping up the week on a positive note, and as we focus on helping our businesses open back up, just appreciate all your work and the great resources. And it doesn't surprise me at all that your goal is not to just have businesses get back on their feet, but to come back even better than ever, and to have a lot of resources and tools through the chamber to help them do that, and also extending those to the broader business community, even beyond the chamber membership. And of course, membership does help give you the resources to work with, so that's always appreciated. But thanks again for helping us out this afternoon. And as Dr. Sanders would say, don't forget to get out and get some exercise, and we've got a great weekend to do that. So have a good one, Cordova.